Wired to Kill, aka Booby Trap. Somehow, both of those names are appropriate, but they don't really make sense. You know what does make sense? Theme song! Kyle's Reviews! Kyle's Reviews! Alright, normally I would say if you want to watch the movie, check the description below, but this is unavailable. It's not on streaming. I caught this on B-Movie TV, only on Roku, so if you want to catch it, that's where you gotta go. So I'll put a link to it below. Alright, Wired to Kill. What's it about? Well, it is the distant future of 1998. Back in 1992, there was a virus, and lots of people were killed. To minimize the number of deaths, they created quarantine districts. Now that we're in 1998, the virus is gone, but the quarantine districts are still there, and they're lawless areas and wild gangs. Meanwhile, Steve is a guy in, late teens, early 20s, and even though it's like the end of civilization, he's still waiting to hear back about a record contract.
Has anybody called back from the record company today?
About your demo cut?
Yeah. The guy promised he'd call back a week ago. It's been more than 2 weeks now.
It has to be the best new cut they've heard in a while.
And he lives with his mom and his grandma. He's got a girlfriend. She's been kicked out of her house by her dad, so she's coming to live with him too. However, none of that background information matters. None of it comes up again. The virus, the quarantine zones, no, it doesn't matter. So what happens? A gang does a home invasion and breaks into Steve's house. And he breaks Steve's legs.
Sleep. Break his other leg.
Then so Steve, of course, goes to the hospital. They make a police report. The gang freaks out. They're like, we're gonna intimidate this guy until he drops the police report.
We popped your grandmother. We popped your skinny bitch mother. And we're gonna have to pop you. You wanna live? Drop the charges.
But that's not important either, because we never actually see the police do anything. So the gang doesn't really seem to be need to be worried. And in fact, the gang actually kills some people later and doesn't seem to care about that. And why does the gang break his legs? So he can be in a wheelchair the whole time. You'd think that, okay, Steve he makes some gadgets. He's got a little robot that kind of looks like a little Johnny Five from Short Circuit. You think, oh, he's going to make like some high-tech wheelchair with weapons and stuff. No. Basically, the reason I think that they make him so he can't walk is so he can boss his girlfriend around, and she's probably a better actress. And so they can have this fancy robot, which, like I said, kind of looks like Johnny Five, but also makes sort of R2-D2 style beeps and boops.
I can't do it.
So rather than run away, Steve is like, I'm staying here. They're the ones that are going to leave.
Let them move.
You're crazy.
This is my house. Let them move.
And so he uses his robot, and he forces his girlfriend to kill off the gang members one by one. So basically, even though it came out before Home Alone, that's kind of what we got going here. They have some kind of neat, overly elaborate ways to kill. The girlfriend, I don't know why she doesn't leave. Maybe that's the reason why her abusive father exists, is to show that she doesn't know what a good relationship is, because she accidentally kills one of the gang members, and after that she's understandably freaked out, but Steve keeps forcing her to participate.
Go pull the truck out front.
No.
Now! Do you want to win this war or not?
The fact that they have all this background information and none of it matters kind of reflects the big problems with the movies. The whole setting is kind of pointless. It could easily just have been set in the modern day of the 80s in a crime-ridden city, and nothing much would have changed. I don't know why they put this in. My guess is the filmmakers had access to a big factory and a house and this big stone quarry style truck that the bad guys seem to use, and he made up a movie based on those things. So the movie doesn't make a lick of sense, but that's part of the entertainment of it. It's like, why are they doing that? For example, the only person you're going to recognize is Tiny Lister. And he's just one of the main minion for the evil boss. And the evil boss is, of course, the sort of stereotypical brainy type guy because he has glasses. So as we know from Chase Your Mind, that makes you smart. But he's the kind of nerdy guy, like, well, I'm the code-calculated killer. And Tiny Lister's the crazy guy. And we see Tiny Lister smoking a cigarette through his nose at one point. It's like, what? But my point is, things don't make sense. After Tiny Lister does that, they're kind of, I don't know if they're high or whatever, but they're burning money, and they're like, ha ha ha, because, the idea is maybe it's after the fall of civilization, money's worthless. But then later on, the gang trades some drugs for, 100,000 or whatever, and the robot steals it, and they're freaking out. So does money matter or not? And this gang, they seem to have like a lot of old people hanging around. It's like, what kind of gang has senior citizens? I don't know. So the movie itself, it just keeps you guessing because it throws in all these weird things that don't make any sense. Another example of the weird thing is the grandma gets hurt, and then mom gets hurt, and Steve had been hurt. So they keep going to the hospital or the police department. And every time they do, the PA is playing some message, and they're playing like if this 800 numbers. Every time it's a different 800 number. But none of them are actually the right number of digits. Was that supposed to be funny? I don't know. Is 800 numbers that spell out words funny in the 80s?
Sue your doctor. To sue your doctor, call Health and Human Services toll-free number. Dial 1-800-MY-BODY. You have the civil liberty constitutional right to dignity and privacy. If your rights are being violated in any way, you have the right to call toll-free to register a complaint. Call Health and Human Services Criminal Rights Complaints Division. Just call 1-800-CIVIL LIBERTY.
You have reached Police Central Emergency and Social Services. All of our emergency lines are busy. Please stay on the line. You have the constitutional right to complain about these lines being busy. You may dial 1-800-GRIEVANCE.
So things are just crazy. So another thing is the main character I kind of alluded to, Steve. He gives a speech about, I'm not leaving, this is my house. But then later on, you see him outside, and there's a huge for sale sign.
Like Steve said, let them move. Like I say, if you want history, you gotta make your own.
They're just using the house. They knew it was somebody, a real estate agent or something, and they didn't want to take down the for sale sign. Similarly, when the girlfriend is first started staying with Steve, he shows her his music. Because remember, he's waiting for a music contract. Even though it's a lawless society, music business is still around. And he takes her outside, and the house, even though everybody is fully able-bodied, they still have wheelchair ramps. So it's awful convenient that the main character ends up in a wheelchair later. So the movie is crazy. Another example is the ending. It's almost like they didn't film a scene because they've just got ready, got some revenge, but there's still a lot of them left. And then it's like At first, I was like, is this a dream? It's all, they're showing a montage. Are they remembering all the horrific things they did? And then all of a sudden, they're all in a different scene entirely. And it's like, how did you get here? Did I doze off? It's amazing. It is a shame this movie is not available streaming or on DVD or anything. If you look for it, you can find it. Wired to Kill. Apparently it's called Booby Trap in other parts of the country. Other parts of the world, rather. I'm going to give it 3 thumbs up. Record companies will be here in the future, even if laws won't. I'll always be here, though.